Good morning, world history students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and these are notes for Chapter 8, Section 3, starting our unit on South and Southeast Asia. Follow along in your guided notes, and you will be able to complete this series of notes. So, to begin with, we're going to start with talking about the caste system. And a while back, we had some presentations that kind of alluded to the different levels of the caste. And we're going to take a look at these. At the top, we have the Brahmin. The Brahmin are your scholars and religious leaders. Below them, we have the Kshitra. These are your warriors, your rulers, your nobility. Below them, we have our Vaishyas. They are merchants, artisans, and farmers, particularly your middle class. These three groups have the ability to be born again, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about some elements of Hinduism. Below these three, we have the Sudra. They are your workers, your servants, and then kind of below that, and even some people say not even part of the caste, we have a group of people that have been known as untouchable, the pariahs, or the Dalits, as they're referred to today. These are people that are doing the jobs that are probably the lowest of the low in society. All right, take a look at Section 3 notes. The Mauryan Empire was able to unify India by building a very large army with soldiers, chariots, and war elephants. It conquered a lot of territory. The first key leader of the Mauryan Empire was Chandragupta Maurya, who was able to defeat one of Alexander the Great's generals. He built a strong centralized government. His advisor, Kautilya, was a Brahmin, and he helped Chandragupta divide his empire into districts and appointed loyal relatives and generals to rule them. In 301 BC, he converted to Jainism and left the power. Ashoka, he was the grandson of Chandragupta, became emperor in the year 270 BC, is considered to be one of India's greatest rulers. He continued to expand the Mauryan Empire, and this included most of what is now present-day India. He converted to Buddhism and began to promote the policy of right conduct and supported the spread of Buddhism. He founded hospitals, dug wells, and built a lot of roads. And for that, that's why he is well remembered. The regional kingdoms that ruled India after the collapse of the Mauryan Empire were the Greco-Indian dynasties, the Kushan, the Anhara, and the Tamil kingdoms. After that, we have the rise of the Gupta Empire around the year AD 320, and they reunited northern India and helped Hinduism grow in popularity. The key rulers of the Gupta Empire were Chandragupta I, the founder of the Gupta dynasty, and he brought much of northern India under Gupta control. Samudragupta, the son of Chandragupta I, he extended the empire north and east and conquered several small southern Indian kingdoms. His son, Chandragupta II, expanded the territory and strengthened the economy. The three major effects of the Gupta dynasty takeover of northern India were northern India was reunited, Indian society prospered, and finally, Hinduism was able to grow in popularity. And if you remember just a few moments ago, we were talking about Ashoka. He converted part of India to Buddhism, and now we're seeing the rise of Hinduism again. The Gupta form of government was effective because the Gupta divided the main part of their empire into units. Royal officials governed each unit. In the more distant areas that they conquered, the Guptas governed through local leaders. The local leaders retained their power but had to pay tributes to the Guptas and occasionally traveled to their courts. Gupta rule began to weaken in the late AD 400s and ended around AD 550. All right, we're going to take a look at some similarities and differences between the Mauryan and the Gupta. And we're going to start with some of the differences. So when we talk about the Mauryans, they had strict state control, they had spies, and they were primarily Buddhist. Compared to the Gupta, They were not necessarily harshly controlled. They allowed for some freedom, and Hinduism was primary religion. The things that are similar is that they both had large territory, prosperity, and were relatively located in the same locality. All right, I hope you got everything.